Hi everyone, this is Josh Arnett presenting the case study for improving attendance for spring 2021. So here we go. First, I'm going to give an overview of the situation, then I'll get into each of the specific students because I think there are interesting and unique challenges with each of these students involved, um, and that each of those situations will inform my overall decision at the end, as I'll get into as we go. Let's start with the overall facts. I'm a first year principal charged with improving attendance at Golden Oak High School. Something like 85% of the students have been having absence issues. We're the lowest attendance in the district, so lots of room to improve. My school has 11 sports and 31 clubs, so there are a lot of opportunities for kids to get involved with school. Now, something that I want to keep in mind is saying that as most school districts, and I would assume this one, um, have policies to where if you have attendance issues or you're not keeping up with coursework, that can affect your eligibility to participate in extracurriculars. So that is something that I want to keep in mind as we move forward. Uh, Families mostly middle income, some poverty, and some high income, but mainly middle income families. Um, as far as demographics data goes, that is an important data point to consider. There's been a recent influx of Hispanic and Asian families, a lot more diversity that is new to the district. Again, another one of those demographic data points that needs to be considered as we're moving through this. Most adults work for a local industry or own a small business, and the commute is 1 to 2 hours, um, which for a lot of families, the case study said, makes it difficult for them to make sure that their kids are getting to school on time. And so that just demographic factor alone I think, is likely a contributor to the low attendance here at the high school. There's also low staff turnover. Um, and low turnover, I think, overall is a good sign that the school district is doing a lot of good things. But I think also could be a contributing factor to the problems that we're seeing, which I will get into a little bit later. Facts continues. Golden Oaks has the lowest attendance of the area high schools. Board policy allows excused absences only for illness, death in the immediate family, inclement weather, or a valid reason excused by the principal with prior approval. That is the policy. It is based on state law. And so when we get into a lot of the legal issues, this is going to be one of the primary focuses. This is what the law says is an excused absence. I think it's very important to note that this is based on state law. This is something that we need to follow. More than 5 unexcused absences results in a grade penalty. I think it said it is somewhat at the teacher's discretion, um, but that is the policy. The school has a positive relationship with social services and juvenile court. That's going to be especially important when I get into my options later on. So I wanted to note that here. So, getting into the legal and ethical issues of this case. As I stated before, board policy and state law is clear on what should be excused and who should do the excusing. It's the principal. The principal is responsible for excusing any of those outside cases that don't fall under medical or death in the family, stuff like that. Legally, children are required to attend school, and parents must provide rationale for their absences. That is, I forget what level of law that is, but that has been upheld by the Supreme Court, so that is the law. Ethically, students who are less educated will have fewer opportunities for employment in the future. This will affect their lives and their communities. Now, I'm not saying that everyone needs to be highly educated, needs to be straight A students, needs to get a college degree. There are a lot of different paths to success. But I think it is equally important to remember that your education will affect the opportunities available to you. You're going to need to get some kind of education, some sort of training, something to qualify you to do a job. High school is sort of considered the basis of that. So, yeah. Ethically, school officials must take parental views into consideration. Now, that's not to say that parental views should or can override, for example, state laws about, yes, your child does have to have an education. Um, but in a couple of the cases, I noticed some interesting or potentially interesting family dynamics, which I'll get into as I get more into the individual student cases. So, to summarize overall in a sentence, school attendance has been declining, and it is my job to make changes that ensure attendance improves. The superintendent has specifically charged me with doing this, so I need to be able to do that. Otherwise, it's going to look like I don't know how to do my job. Basically, that's going to affect my professional career path, ability to support my family, all that stuff. All right. Brief fact synthesis overall. I am a newcomer to a school in which most staff members have been here for 10 years. I will likely be battling a decade or more of cultural development. Now, this is that point I was talking about with low turnover. Um, the case may not have said that most of them have been here 10 years, but it mentioned a figure something along those lines. Every workplace has a culture, and the longer people are there, the more entrenched they tend to get in that culture. I said earlier that low turnover generally is a good thing. It shows that the school district is doing good things. People enjoy working there. But this is right here is one of the challenges that coming into a culture where people have been here for 10 years and gotten just used to the way things are done is going to be an uphill battle as I'm trying to make any change. It's something that I'm going to have to consider. It is apparent that staff members are not following board policy with regards to attendance. There were several cases that said that teachers were excusing absences, which is not the policy. The principal is supposed to excuse policy. The fact that teachers are excusing absences at all is very bizarre to me. Certainly not in accordance with board policy or state law. I may be able to rely on parental support in principle. We want our kids to come to school and have a good education. But like I mentioned earlier, working conditions make it difficult for many to take direct action. They got an hour or two commute. They've got to leave before their kids are going to school. The kids are getting themselves to school or not getting themselves to school, as the case may be. Recent cultural diversity in the community must be considered. And I thought of this. There's one case in particular where I think that this is going to be a really important factor. So that, I believe, concludes the overall discussion. In the next video, I will start getting into a series of videos. I'll get into the individual cases, things that I find interesting, and then at the end, bring it all back together. So I will see you in part 2.